Oh, shut it all down so we're okay.
Perfect.
I like that I'm in a setting where I'm comfortable in the sense that I have my iPad with my keys. So if somebody comes, I can see that they're commenting.
Okay, good.
I'd
Don't
like
have
to
that.
know they're there. And hi.
Hi. Yeah, saying welcome home.
Thanks.
You've been well, let's see, how long was your last leg of traveling since yesterday?
Oh, this one was a long one. I left to catch the ferry Monday night at 11:30. So I left Corner Brook and went through Storm. We wanted to be there on time. So we left at 4 and drove.
Yeah.
And then after that, when we got to the ferry terminal, we loaded at 11:30 to leave. So we loaded at 9:30.
11:30.
Newfoundland time.
Right.
So that, you know what, our time zones, that's another thing we take for granted. It's not about, you can get your sleep, but when we travel different time zones and we're working in other time zones,
Yeah.
and even not even working, just living, reaching your family for something, you have to be aware of the different times.
Well, it's funny you say that. When I went to Chicago, we drove. I very rarely drive through time zones. You drove through, I can't even remember. I would fly through time zones, but I've never driven through time zones. And we happened to drive through time zone to Chicago on daylight savings. So I was so confused. I couldn't figure out what time it was. I wasn't tired. It didn't affect what you were referring to as far as sleep or, my energy. It was more I just couldn't figure out what time it was.
Well, I've taken the ferry an awful lot, and I really love the ferry. I love the environment of being on the water. You know how I love the water. So, but this, the rough seas where you actually feel like that sailboat in that movie, it was ooh, ooh, and you.
Oh, I don't like that.
No, it was different, right?
Last summer, I was on a very large vessel, let's say, that when you slept at night, you couldn't feel the movement, but we were on it for 3 nights. And when I got back to land, I felt it for a good 24 hours later. I felt unbalanced. I had to plant my feet, and also my head was a little so you don't realize even when you don't have that type of movement. But I can't imagine being in that type of rockiness, for that.
Well,
what you were on it from
that was a
midnight.
different feeling. Yeah, from midnight, and got off at 8 and then drove. So we're an hour and a half east.
Yeah.
So an hour and a half. And David, is a Vancouver Canucks fan.
Yeah.
So he's on that time frame, which the game started at 11:30 at night. So it was very interesting, trying to get everything you want to get done. And when you're in a short time, you notice it. We were only there a week. Mm-hmm. But the snow was phenomenal. I love real snow, but here, big snowbanks. So at the end, I appreciated my visit. I appreciate being home, and it's bright and sunny here in Montreal.
Yeah. Well, you got home in time for our big event last night that we wanted to talk about quickly. I just wanted to thank all of our La Marina members who came out for our monthly guest speaker. So it was our second guest speaker that we've had in La Marina. And Roxandra, I mean, my goodness, Katherine, you did everybody such a I don't know, favor. It's not the right word. It's not strong enough. Everybody owes you a debt of gratitude for introducing us to what a spectacular woman.
Thanks for saying that.
You're so lucky. I said you're so lucky to have her as a friend in your life. I think everybody hung up, our Zoom was saying I wish she was my friend.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's very interesting, because this is what living your life by design, since that's what we're about. That's what it is. As I'm not this stuff comes natural to me. It really is just the way it is. There was no prep to say, okay, Roxandra didn't even know what she was in for. She didn't know she was meeting our fabulous community that is so welcoming and so open and eating this up, every nugget they can get. She didn't know that. And she's not a professional speaker. She's surely professional, but not a speaker. And she felt honored to be. That's how human and wonderful, so soul. And I remember just reaching out saying, hey, I have a community of women, and mostly women, and I'd love if you can share your story. That was the only prep. And you know what? And I think about it as we do things, a lot comes very naturally. A lot comes very, like one of the things is when we invite a guest speaker, we talked about that. Like she didn't even know who Sage Navigation was, but she was interested. And I think that says a lot as well. Sometimes we are out there doing things, and my life living by design, I was never impressed or intimidated with a position, with wealth, financial. I didn't get affected. Oh, that person owns the bank. Oh, okay. Or that person is the Prime Minister of Canada. Oh, okay. Ian McDonald just wrote the book to whatever, you're invited to the party for Barassa and Brian Mulroney. Okay. Like it was all just okay. It was not, you're going where the Prime Minister of Canada is going to be. Yeah. And Roxanne explained that yesterday when somebody said, you know, you're dealing with those people. You know what? Real people are everywhere. And I don't want to use a swear word, but if you think of a word with an A and ends with an E, those kind of people, ignorant people, mean people, they're everywhere too. They're not exclusive to, you know, people hold back and don't want to be successful sometimes because they're afraid of who they'll become. Oh, money's going to make this, or if I do that, this. Not at all. You are who you are. You are who you are. And you get better at who you are when you make more money. You just get better at it. So real people are everywhere. Roxandra worked hard her whole life. And I can tell you, the higher up in my life where people would, you know, you label or you say, oh, that's the president of the company, that's the prime minister. You know, they have worked hard to be where they are. And the ones that are real, many of them I'm lucky to call my friend. You're lucky to call your friend. And when you pick up the phone, they're not in your life. When you're living your life by design, you're picking the people you want to be around. So it's, of course, she's wonderful. And she would welcome you when you come to Montreal. And, you know, she said that. I look forward to having lunch with you. You know, if I were to say, let's all have coffee, Roxandra, that's how she is. Okay, where are we going to meet? And that's what living life by design can offer any of us. That's why we work at this. When you know who you want to be, because just because you're being somebody today doesn't mean that's who you want to be tomorrow. And you know what you want, those are the people that come in your life. The people that serve you well and you serve well.
Yeah.
I love that everything she said, very few things would I contradict. Very few things would she contradict with us. And of course, she has her own spin. And that's the beauty of that. Everybody has their own spin. Michael has his way of being. We have our way.
Wait, so I'm just going to put into context, Michael Challenger, you're
talking thank you. Yes, our previous speaker.
Our first guest speaker in La Marina. Just want to make sure everybody listening.
Very different personalities.
Sure.
But very similar in how can I help you? How can I serve? What can I do? Like very similar human.
So let's just touch base for those that are listening that maybe aren't members of La Marina yet. Michael Challenger, how would you describe him if you were to say, oh, Michael Challenger is going to come and speak to us? So I know him now through you, but so I would say he's, you know, an author, a motivational speaker, a brilliant mind, a kind heart. What else?
An actor.
Yeah.
A successful actor.
Charismatic.
A producer of a film.
Right. Now, he was really great. He knew he had some amazing messages.
And he's trained to speak. He's trained.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just giving context again. So we had Roxandra, who's this wonderful soul, extremely successful. You know, a few of the themes that came out in the chat were triumph over adversity, keeping your vision straight, like looking at your goal and achieving your goals, setting those goals and achieving them. I think, you know, just again, for those that weren't there, she was the director of residences at the residences of the Ritz-Carlton. So she's in Montreal. She basically runs the entire Ritz-Carlton. You know, I call them condos. I know they're not, but those the parts that are not part of
No,
the
they
hotel.
are condos. They are condos.
Yeah, she runs that community. So she does everything from events to food to relationships with the people that own the condos and live there. So she has a really incredible job. There were moments when she was talking, I frankly was quite jealous. I'll be really honest. I thought, what an amazing job. What a wonderful, you know, we talk about your physical pillar.
Yes.
Working every day in the Ritz-Carlton in Montreal. What a feeling that must give you.
And when the
Right?
Grand Prix comes to town and the who's who of the world shows up in Montreal,
Sure.
she's there.
Yeah. I just mean it's such an institution for the country, for the city of Montreal. It's just such a beautiful, architecturally speaking, a beautiful building, surrounded in legacy and heritage and opulence, and it just must be quite a feeling of physically being in its presence. But we definitely, so some more of the takeaways I wanted to touch on before we go. You and I have talked about this at length. We'll share it with those of you that are listening. I typed into the chat and I've been talking about it ever since. And I joked with Roxandra at the end that I would someday maybe think about getting a tattoo, because she said, and apparently the editor in me came out because I heard something and edited it and then packaged it in a way that really resonated with me, which was know your values. So, you know the things that you hold true to yourself and that you hold yourself true to. So your values, but also know your value. And that I think is so powerful. So know your values and know your value. When you have those two things, I don't think you can go wrong in life. I really don't. Like, because knowing your value, don't get me wrong, I don't even know if I know my value. I think it's really, really hard. We might have to talk about this as something we do with our community later, because knowing your value and feeling confident about that, walking into a room, and I know you can talk about this too. No, walking into a room, feeling that confidence of knowing the value that you are bringing into that room with your experience, with your knowledge, with your everything, all of you, your being. That is a hard thing to really feel secure in, I think, personally.
I can say I'm clear on my value. I'll walk away from anything and everything that doesn't match my value. And I know my values.
But I know it in certain settings. I certainly know it if you wanted to build a magazine, I could snap that into shape in a heartbeat. But if you put me into certain situations that are new to me, how do you define what your value is if you don't have any experience there?
Well, this is the whole thing and that's why I love creating vision maps. I love creating one word. I love what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because you learn more and more about yourself. And
sure.
You've been labeled, and I would accuse many people of labeling you as like the editor, and you're phenomenal. Even I want, like, check my stuff, edit it, because I know it's coming out more than perfect. So and that it's fabulous. It's fabulous. And it's such a great thing. And it can be uncomfortable to leave that. Like, my expertise is commercial real estate. I can walk in anywhere, hand me any lease. I don't care who you are. I may not know it all because something's changed, but I know that I will know how to get the answer. I know I'm going to help you, and I don't doubt that. And it doesn't matter who sits with me. Now, when it comes to universal laws, I could think of hundreds of people better than me. Books are written, you would look at me as I'm an authority. I would say, oh no, let's talk to Bob Proctor, who's dead, or let's talk to, but you know what? I am an authority in applying it to live in life by design. That's where I become the authority. And so you become an authority in all topics related to your expertise. And it just becomes very easy, because everything involves editing. So one day
Yeah.
when you look at it, oh, that's another form of editing. So that's why when they do one word and find your superhero and superpower, that brings confidence. Like
It does,
that.
but I wonder, like, I'm just thinking out loud and I'm
Yeah.
looking at the time and I want to respect
Yeah.
other people's time. It's a great conversation to have with La Marina or any of our people
Yeah.
in our community. Because I'm just using you and I as the
Yeah.
example. We're the only
Yeah.
ones talking to each other right now. Our careers took us into boardrooms. We were very familiar walking into a boardroom, giving a presentation. You know, I've done television, live TV, so I'm very comfortable because of my experience, right? But not everybody. Some people can be very clear on what their value is, but not feel that sense of confidence walking into a boardroom or whatever. So this is where I'm kind of like, how do you?
Oh, I love that you said that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I'm not comfortable. I do not look at these lies again. Why? I am not going to be comfortable with this piece of hair that's not perfectly placed while I'm here, or my makeup because I didn't have it professionally done, because you know what? Those details are not something I learned to do things much older in life.
Okay.
Like
So
nail
this
polish.
idea of value. Yeah.
So
This
when
idea
you go
of
to
value.
value,
Yeah.
you know who you are, you know your strengths, and you know
Yeah.
your weaknesses. You learn not to look at those weaknesses. You learn it's going to drive me nuts if I listen to the replay and I know I said something wrong. I'm not going to
What's
feel
funny? Here's my confession. I don't mind. I actually enjoy like being on camera. I love speaking in front of an auditorium full of people. I love it. I get positive energy from it, whereas I think some other people may not enjoy it like that. I don't like the sound of my voice though. Like that's the only reason why I wouldn't listen to the replay of this. I don't know what it's about, my tone or the intonation or the pitch. I don't know what it is, but I listen to my voice. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, well, you know what? I laugh because at the Kajabi Impact Summit, you say that, and I'm like, interesting. There's a lot of people that have that because Roger Love
Yeah.
is a voice coach that's worked with all of the best. And Impact Summit with Kajabi invited him to be one of the speakers and gave us stuff to work on to teach us how to do the O's and the I's and you know what? I actually laughed at it a little bit. And I don't know. The first time I sang into a mic and it was replayed, I didn't know I sounded like that. So
Yeah,
we don't
weird to hear
know.
your own voice.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a little bit. So everybody
We
has
digress. I
these
know.
things. So I think it's absolutely on track. It's
Yeah.
exactly that. Things happen. And I would end, you said value and values, and so great. I would also say that the universe unfolds as it should in perfect timing. Because Roxandra went to the Ritz-Carlton as her dream job. She wanted to work there and walked away. And I don't want to go into her story, but she walked away from.
Well, they couldn't match her. She needed a certain amount of money to pay her bills and put her child in school, and they couldn't match her salary because they were unionized. It wasn't because she wasn't qualified. It wasn't because they didn't offer it to her.
Walked away because
Had to walk away.
living life by design. She had to
Can't do
walk
it.
away from something she really
can't make it
wanted,
work. Yeah.
only to find out that she's a boss in this organization at this point.
Right.
So the universe, she put something out to the universe, and the universe took their time and gave it to her in their timing. So that's the persistence and never give up. But that's why when you're clear, even when you put it aside, you go on your journey, it'll come to you. It will come to you. What you really want will come. Keep doing step by step towards it. Be true to yourself. That's the other message. So you know what? Any of you, there will be some really nice specials coming in. And I know it's not about selling, it's about serving, because these things are amazing. Like, yes, I ended up knowing the president of Kajabi because I invested $1,000 to go to a conference to grow. So I've spent a lot of money learning, but I also connected with people. So invest in yourself. Go get that book that you really want to read. Go get that hair cut. Go do something for yourself and grow. Always grow.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you, community.
Bye, everybody.
See you soon.